Hello, this is Steve Malone with Compass FX. I hope you're doing well today and you get some good trades. Today I'm going to talk about in preparation for non-farm payroll. We're going to take a look at the dollar yen. The dollar yen is generally moves the most during the non-farm payroll. Why? You've got the dollar and you have the yen. And a lot of institutions out there trade the carry trade. And right now the two currencies that are used most in the carry trade is the US dollar and the yen. So when the non-farm payroll comes in better than expected, then we get a strong push in the direction of the dollar. It comes out worse than expected, we get a strong push in the direction of the yen as markets around the world sell the dollar. And they make movement with their carry trade positions. Now we've seen the recent push up in the dollar yen based upon the Bank of Japan's quantitative easing measure, recently shocking the market with 80 trillion yen, otherwise $60 billion a month, in order to reach a price inflation target of 2%. So this week we see the dollar yen starting out here at the 112.70 level. And I'm looking for it to push up to about the 114 level. That's getting close to the monthly R1 level. And we can see that right now the yen is pretty much playing in between the weekly R1 and the weekly R2. The weekly and monthly pivots have come into play quite a bit because of the extensive move we've seen in the yen pairs. So where do we go tomorrow with non-farm payroll? Let's take a look at non-farm payroll. The expectation is 231,000. The range right now is 300,000 on the high side and 195,000 on the low side. Here's the thought. If the market comes in as expected, I look for the continued move up in the dollar yen, moving back up towards this 115.53 area and then potentially higher. Now then, where to? If we simply look at the high of the week to the low of the week, I'm looking for the possibility that the market, if it's a better than expected number, we could see the possibility of the dollar yen to reach up to that 116 area and possibly push up into that 116.50 area that puts us right between this area right here, the 127.2 to the 141.4. That's where I'd be looking if the number's better than expected. If the number comes in line, looking for it to probably work itself out in between here, probably higher towards the weekly R2. Now, if it's worse than expected, then we have another area to consider. This area back here where the market was trying to figure out if we're going higher or not, this area right here, this area is an area that's going to put us back down around that 113 to 113.50 area. Now, if we're way off the mark and we're getting a lot of strength in the yen, that's going to kind of buck the trend of the BOJ, and we could possibly see the yen drop back down here towards the open of the week. I doubt we get below the 112.50 area. Again, overall, the BOJ wants to see this much higher, and institutional traders have already called for a move up to 116.50. Taking a quick look at the euro yen, it too has been moving back and forth between these weekly pivot levels and the monthly levels. So we can see that if the number comes out better than expected, that's going to be weak the yen, strong the dollar. We should expect to see this push back up and challenge the high that we got today about the 144.20 area. Yet there are traders looking for a push up to the 145 level. So again, if we were to look at this, you can see that we have the weekly R3 and the monthly R2 sitting right up in this area. So that's going to put us somewhere in the ballpark of about that 145. It's better than expected number. Worse than expected? I see that the market potentially challenges this level at about that 141.65, 141.50 area. I still think there's the possibility that the market goes back down and potentially tests the 140. Now, again, the non-farm payroll would have to be way off the mark to see the market drop all the way down to the 140 level, but there is the possibility that if it's off the mark and it passes this 141.65, 141.50 area, then look for it to possibly push back to the weekly open. Taking a look at the pound yen, the pound yen has a chance to push even higher up to about the 185 level is what some traders are looking for. It's had a gargantuan move to the upside. Now today we've had a bit of retracement coming back into this zone right here. But again, if we simply go from the weekly high to the weekly low, you're going to find that the 127.2, that 141.4, they sit up there getting pretty darn close or right near that weekly R3 level. And like I said, the market has been playing, these yen pairs have been playing the weekly pivot levels. If we get back above the monthly R1, there's a good chance to push up here again if the number is better than expected. If the number comes in line as expected, given the BOJ's push to the upside, then look for us to go back up and test the 184 level that we got up to overnight. That was about the 184.30 area. If the number's worse than expected, I do look for a pushback towards that 180.50 area. There's some lows right there. That's at the 181 level. If it's pretty bad number, I'd look for it to possibly come down and test about that 180.50 area. Some in the marketplace are looking for the possibility of the yen to get all the way back down to right at the 180 level. The 180 level is going to be more or less the floor by which we work off of to push higher. So look for that. Now on the euro dollar, well, the euro dollar's been making a push down today given the comments out of Draghi during the ECB press conference. Not real favorable, more of a slant towards quantitative easing, possibly for the ECB in the coming months. So we see this slight move down. Now again, if the numbers are worse than expected, look for the euro dollar to push back up, test the 125. If the numbers are really bad, believe it or not, there are options that sit right up here at the 126 level. Wouldn't be surprised if the number's really bad. We go down to the bottom of the range, around 195 in the number, that the market pushes up towards that 126. If the number comes in line, then we sink down, possibly staying around that 124, maybe the 23.50 area. If it's better than expected, here comes 122, 122.50 area. And we're going to push on down to the weekly S2. We might even see that progression down to the monthly S2, which would put us down around that 122.30 area. Many technicians in the marketplace are looking for the eventuality of the euro dollar to push all the way down to 122 before year's end. So we have this non-farm payroll, and we have one more to go to get us there, given the fact that if the ECB holds off on doing any quantitative easing. If they go towards that measure, it might push the euro on down to that 122 level. So again, tomorrow, non-farm payroll is expected to come in about 231 unless there's a revision. We're looking for a high range of 300. If it's better than expected, look for all the yen pairs to continue going higher. Look for the euro dollar to push down. If the number's worse than expected towards the lower part of the range of 195, then look for the yens to fall back down towards the weekly open or to one of those previous weekly pivot levels, and then look for the euro dollar to possibly push all the way up to 126. Well, this is Dean Malone with Compass FX. I hope some of this information will help you out in trading non-farm payroll tomorrow morning. Y'all take care. We'll talk to you next time. Bye-bye.